In July 2003, mountaineers cross India's Dhaka Glacier as the ice opens beneath their route. Beside scattered aircraft metal, they find the preserved body of a soldier. The wreckage belongs to an Indian Air Force An-12 that disappeared on the 7th of February 1968. Nothing decisive had been found for 35 years. Mountaineer Inder Dev Sharma is moving through the glacier during an advanced training course. What he encounters turns a climbing expedition into a recovery mission. Papers inside the dead man's coat identify him as Pioneer Beli Ram. He becomes the first recovered victim, formally linked to the lost aircraft. The discovery proves that the missing aircraft came down in the Glacier Chandigarh ranges, but it does not reveal the exact impact point or explain the final loss of contact. That creates a stranger mystery. How could an aircraft remain hidden for decades, then return its passengers and parts in separate years? The story begins at Chandigarh on the 7th of February 1968. The An-12 leaves on what official records call a normal military air maintenance sortie. The aircraft takes off at 1:56 in the afternoon and heads north toward Leh. Its task is routine, but the route crosses some of the highest terrain on Earth. About 3/4 of the way to Leh, the crew receives bad news. Weather at the airfield is unsuitable for landing, so the captain turns back toward Chandigarh. The return route runs south from Ladakh toward Chandigarh across the western Himalayas. Somewhere near this mountain corridor, the aircraft leaves its expected path and reaches the Dhaka Glacier region. The captain later reports that the aircraft is about 75 miles from Chandigarh. He says it still carries roughly 2.5 hours of fuel. Then the radio falls silent. From 2:54 that afternoon, the aircraft is officially missing. Search aircraft enter the mountains, but cloud and poor visibility force them back. The weather that diverted the An-12 now blocks the effort to find it. Civil and army authorities are alerted, and a court of inquiry is ordered. Yet the public record reviewed today does not contain a released technical finding that settles the cause. Even the number aboard remains disputed. Later military and media reports usually say 102, while contemporaneous and archival accounts give 98 with different crew breakdowns. No complete public manifest in the reviewed sources resolves that conflict. For the families, however, the central fact is simpler. The aircraft and everyone aboard are gone. Years pass without a confirmed crash site, recovered aircraft, or returned remains. The missing flight becomes an absence carried by several generations. In July 2003, a 28-day advanced mountaineering course enters the Dhaka Glacier area. The team is training in extreme terrain, not excavating a known wreck site. At roughly 16,000 feet, every step is slow. Thin air, unstable snow, and hidden crevasses leave little room for error. Then bones, preserved clothing, and pieces of an aircraft appear in the ice. The mountain has exposed evidence no earlier search could see. Documents found in the coat connect the remains to Beli Ram and the missing 1968 flight. After 35 years, a personal paper succeeds where the original air search failed. Reports describe aircraft fragments spread across more than a kilometer. This is not a complete fuselage resting in one clear crater. The find narrows the geography of the disaster to the Dhaka or South Dhaka Glacier area. It does not reconstruct the aircraft's final turn through the mountains. There is still no public wreckage map showing the precise impact point, nor is there a released cockpit data reconstruction of the final minutes. The glacier has preserved the crash, but not like a sealed room. Snow covers evidence, ice changes, and surface conditions decide which fragments become visible. Summer meltwater widens a fracture, and a buried metal edge breaks into daylight. The glacier can hide evidence for years, then expose it during a brief search season. The 2003 discovery leads to repeated missions rather than one continuous excavation. Each operation gets only a narrow window against weather and altitude. In August 2007, Operation Punaruthan III searches around 17,500 feet. Over 5 days, the team recovers 3 sets of remains. A later Lok Sabha document names them as Hara Singh Nihawal, Kamal Singh Bhandari, and M.N. Fukan. Official records give 3 missing men their names back. The remains are taken from the glacier toward Chandigarh. For their families, recovery means something the missing aircraft file never could. A person can finally come home. But 3 recoveries do not reveal a complete debris field. Searchers still face steep gradients, old avalanches, heavy snow, and crevasses hidden beneath the surface. In 2013, the Dogra Scouts find another soldier. The remains have been hidden for 45 years. He is identified as Havildar Jagmail Singh. His identity emerges through an identity disc and documents found with him. An insurance policy and a letter from his family provide further links. Ordinary papers have survived long enough to reconnect a missing soldier with his name. Contemporary reporting calls Jagmail Singh the 5th recovered body in the commonly used tally. Yet even that count will later require careful qualification. A civilian cleanup expedition reports skeletal remains and aircraft parts in 2018. Public reporting does not establish a formal identification or whether that body entered the official recovery tally. By 2019, the search has become more systematic. The Dogra Scouts, an Indian Air Force, return to locate substantial sections of the lost aircraft. The Dogra Scouts begin on the 26th July, and an IAF team joins on the 6th August. The combined mission spends 13 days searching around 5,240 meters. An old avalanche slope shifts above the search route as loose snow pours toward a crevasse. Every recovered object must be reached in terrain that can move without warning. The teams recover an aero engine, fuselage sections, electric circuits, a propeller, a fuel tank unit, an air brake assembly, and a cockpit door. The recovered components show that major parts survived. Their separation also warns against imagining one compact wreck waiting beneath a single patch of snow. Personal belongings are recovered as well, but no new formally identified body is announced from this mission. The aircraft is returning faster than its human story can be completed. No reviewed public source reports the recovery of a flight recorder. An engine, propeller, or cockpit door can confirm the wreck, but not automatically explain its last minutes. The public evidence confirms the diversion, the final position report, and the loss of contact. It does not establish the final impact mechanism. Retired pilots have proposed oxygen depletion, navigation error, wind displacement, or an inability to descend safely. These remain attributed theories, not a released official conclusion. The growing wreckage field answers where the flight ended, but not why it arrived there. Then, in 2024, the search shifts back from metal to people. Dogra Scouts and Taranga Mountain Rescue enter the Chandrabhaga 13 area in September 2024. It becomes the largest reported single recovery of remains from the crash. The expedition begins on 15th of September near the Dhaka Glacier at almost 16,000 feet. Searchers again work inside a short high-altitude weather window. On the 29th September, the operation recovers 4 sets of remains. More victims are found in one mission than in any earlier formal recovery from this aircraft. Identification depends on vouchers, paybooks, badges, personal articles, and matches with Army records. Once again, small objects carry names across more than half a century. Initial defense reporting identifies Malkhan Singh Narayan Singh, and a man reported as Thomas Charan. The fourth person is initially left unidentified. A helicopter lifts away from the glacier with the recovered remains. They are medically examined after airlift and then taken toward Chandigarh. Later reports name the fourth man as Munshi Ram and give Thomas's surname as Cherian. Because no public forensic report was found to reconcile the versions, both changes require attribution. Family reporting identifies the man as Thomas Cherian, missing since the 1968 flight. A partially burned book and army-linked details help connect the remains to him. Narayan Singh's family also receives an answer after generations of uncertainty. The recovery closes one personal absence without closing the larger case. After the operation, army-linked reporting uses a formal tally of 9 recovered bodies. That number does not clearly include the uncertain civilian sighting from 2018. Why does the glacier reveal different evidence in different decades? A peer-reviewed study of Sutri Dhaka helps explain the setting, but not every movement of the wreck. The study describes a glacier covering roughly 20 square kilometers and stretching about 10.7 kilometers. Its elevation runs from approximately 4,500 to 6,000 meters. During the measured and modeled study years, the glacier shows negative mass balance. In simple terms, it loses more ice than it gains. The discoveries form a broken timeline. The first body in 2003, 3 in 2007, 1 in 2013, major aircraft parts in 2019, and 4 remains in 2024. Temperature and precipitation strongly affect the glacier's balance. Melting, snowfall, and surface change can therefore alter what searchers are able to see. That supports a narrow conclusion. Changing snow and ice can expose buried material. It does not prove that climate change caused any one recovery on a particular date. Search timing matters too. A fragment can remain hidden under fresh snow, sit beyond the day's safe route, or appear only after a team has left the mountain. Some accounts describe the glacier as a conveyor belt carrying bodies downhill from a 22,000-foot impact. No reviewed case study measures that route or confirms that impact altitude. What can be seen is simpler. Meltwater runs, a thin ice roof collapses, and another piece of the aircraft appears where yesterday there was only snow. The glacier is not speaking with one clear voice. Investigators must separate documented recoveries from plausible ice movement, and plausible movement from stories repeated without measurements. After decades of searches, the case contains more evidence than ever. It still lacks the records needed for a definitive accident reconstruction. The established sequence ends with bad weather, a turn back toward Chandigarh, a final position report, and silence. The wreckage confirms the destination, not the cause. The dominant later account says 102 people were aboard, usually 98 Army personnel and 4 crew. Other records say 98 total, and no complete public manifest settles the difference. 9 is the defensible Army-linked formal recovery tally after 2024. It is not proof that only 9 sets of remains were ever sighted, or that every other victim lies in one place. In May 2026, India's Ministry of Defense still lists recovery work from the 1968 crash among Tiranga Mountain Rescue's notable missions. It does not declare every victim recovered or the crash solved. The ice has returned names, remains, and pieces of a lost aircraft, but not a complete ending. What do you think happened during the An-12's final flight? Thank you for watching the story of the missing An-12. Subscribe for more carefully researched mysteries and stay with us for the next case waiting on screen.